this is where learning should happen.
I feel like the air is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe the opposite, right? Those rooms that just, I don't know, zap your energy.
Totally. Yeah.
We're diving deep into learning environments today.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And, it's more than just like comfy chairs and good lighting.
Right.
Although those things help.
Of course.
But researchers have been digging into this for decades.
Yeah.
And what really struck me was, like, how far back this research goes.
Oh, really?
Like, way back. Did you know that back in the 60s and 70s, people like Rudolf Moose and Herbert Wahlberg, they were already on this case.
The pioneers.
They were ahead of their time.
Absolutely.
And their work really, like, laid the foundation for how we understand learning environments today.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was just, like, mind blown by was this idea that it's not just about classrooms.
Oh, interesting.
Like Moose, he found these core dimensions
that
apply to all kinds of environments.
Like what?
From schools to, get this, hospital wards.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so how does that even work?
Well, it's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah.
Moose identified these fundamental dimensions like relationship, personal development, and then system maintenance and change. And these dimensions, they play a role in any human environment.
So it's like universal, almost.
In a way, yeah.
Wow.
So if you think about it, in a classroom, relationship is about how connected students feel to each other and the teacher, right?
Makes sense.
But in a hospital ward, it's about patient-doctor trust.
Oh, interesting.
The support system.
Right.
It's all connected.
So relationship, I can see that across those settings.
Yeah.
But what about, like, personal development?
Right. So in a classroom, that's all about how the environment supports, individual growth. Opportunities for creativity, critical thinking.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Right.
But in a hospital setting, it might be about whether patients feel empowered to participate in their own healing.
Oh, wow.
Are they encouraged to ask questions?
That's a good point.
Do they understand their treatment options?
Right.
It's about fostering a sense of agency.
So it's about feeling empowered and supported no matter where you are.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And what about that last one? System maintenance and change.
Right.
That one sounds a little, I don't know, bureaucratic.
It might sound that way.
Yeah.
But it's really about how adaptable and responsive the environment is.
Oh.
Right. So in a classroom, you think about clear expectations, routines, right?
Structure.
Exactly. But also the flexibility to adjust to different learning styles, maybe an unexpected situation.
Right, because things happen.
Always.
Yeah.
And then in a hospital, it might be about how well the staff adapt to emergencies.
Oh, yeah.
Or implement new procedures.
Right, okay. So it's about having a structure, but one that can also, like, I don't know, move with the changes that are happening.
Be adaptable. Responsive.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Wow, when you put it like that, it really clicks.
It's all connected.
So, okay, we've got these dimensions of learning environments.
Right.
But how do researchers actually, like, measure something like that?
It's tricky, right?
It seems really complicated, yeah.
Yeah, but they've come up with some pretty clever tools over the years.
I bet.
Early on, it was a lot of questionnaires.
Okay.
Tailored to specific learning environments.
So like different questionnaires for different types of classrooms.
Exactly.
Okay.
They'd really try to capture the unique aspects of each setting.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, and I bet you've seen some of these questionnaires with those names that just stick with you.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like what?
Like my class inventory.
Oh, yeah, my class inventory.
You know it's getting down to the student level with a name like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it sounds very student-centered.
Right, and that was the point. But over time, the fields moved beyond just questionnaires.
Okay, so what'd they do? Like bring in, I don't know, supercomputers to analyze classrooms?
Not quite supercomputers.
Okay.
But definitely more sophisticated data analysis methods.
Like, give me an example.
Well, think multi-level analysis.
Multi-level analysis.
Yeah, it helps untangle how individual student factors, classroom dynamics, even school-wide policies all interact to influence learning.
Whoa, so it's like looking at the whole picture.
Exactly. It's like zooming in and out of that picture, seeing all those different layers.
That's really cool.
And it's helped uncover some fascinating patterns, like, you know that whole rose-colored glasses thing?
Wait, rose-colored glasses? What's that?
So one of the early studies, they used something called the classroom environment scale.
Okay.
And they found that teachers often perceive their classrooms more positively than their students do.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So it's like the teacher thinks everything's going great.
Right.
but the students are like, not so much.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of getting multiple perspectives.
That's interesting.
Because students might experience the classroom very differently than the teacher.
Right. Of course, they're in it.
Exactly. And both viewpoints are valuable, to really understand what's going on.
It's kind of wild when you think about it.
What's that?
Like a classroom is a classroom, right?
Well, you'd think so, yeah.
You walk in, desks, chairs, a board.
Right.
But it's got to be so different depending on like where you are in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
The culture, like all of that.
Culture plays a massive role, in how those learning environments actually function.
It makes you wonder, like, what we can learn from those differences.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and there's been some really interesting cross-cultural research on this. Like, for example, there was this one study, they compared classrooms in Taiwan and Australia.
Okay.
And they found some pretty big differences, like in how students participated.
Oh, interesting.
And even just their sense of, like, fairness in the classroom.
I can see how cultural norms around, like, speaking up in class,
right,
or even just, like, how you interact with the teacher would totally play into that.
Exactly. It's not just about comparing, like, east to west either.
Okay.
There was another study. This one was in Brunei.
Okay.
And they found that when teachers really displayed, like, cooperative behavior, it was strongly linked to, guess what? Higher student achievement.
Really?
Yeah.
It's almost like it goes back to that relationship piece.
Totally.
That relationship between, like, the teacher and the students is just, like, so crucial.
It's huge. And it's, it's interesting because you think about how much things are changing.
Oh, yeah.
With online learning and everything.
Right. Like, is that even a learning environment?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does all this stuff we know, how does it apply?
Well, because it's not a physical space anymore, really.
Yeah. Right. And that's what researchers are trying to figure out. Like,
okay,
there's been this huge surge in research on online learning environments, especially since the pandemic.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a whole new world.
It is. And you think about the future, too, right?
Yeah.
Like, all this talk about AI, virtual reality in the classroom, like
it's coming.
Smart schools, it's like, it's a lot.
It is. It's exciting, but it's a lot.
Yeah, how do we even begin to, like, make sense of it all?
Well, that's where learning environment research comes in, because it's not just about having, the fancy gadgets or, like, rearranging the desks.
Yeah.
It's about using this research to make sure that those tools are being used effectively.
Okay, so how do teachers even, like, how do they actually put this into practice?
So there's this, like, 5-step process that a lot of teachers use.
Okay.
And it starts with just, like, assessing the current learning environment.
So figuring out what's working, what's not.
Exactly. And then they reflect on that feedback, identify areas they want to improve, plan some interventions, and then they implement those changes.
Okay, so it's very, like, intentional.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, we'll try this, see what happens.
It's a very deliberate process, and it's ongoing,
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. You're constantly reassessing, refining.
Okay, that makes sense. But where do students fit into all this?
Oh, that's the key.
Right.
Like, student voice is huge in this whole process.
Because they're the ones, like, in it, right?
Exactly. Okay. They're experiencing it firsthand. And teachers who really make an effort to, like, seek out that feedback, respond to it, they tend to create much more effective learning environments for everybody.
That makes sense.
Right. It's their space, too.
It is, yeah.
And there was this one study, actually. They found that teachers who used a tool called the Constructivist-Oriented Learning Environment Survey.
Okay, what is that?
So it's a tool that really emphasizes, like, student-centered learning, putting the students at the center. Yeah. And the teachers who used that, they saw significant improvements, not just in the learning environment itself, but in the student's self-efficacy.
Wait, hold on. Define self-efficacy real quick.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those terms.
Yeah.
It basically means, like, a student's belief in their own ability to succeed.
Okay, got it.
So basically, this study found that when students felt heard, like, their opinions mattered.
Yeah.
Their confidence in their own learning abilities actually increased.
Wow. So it's like we're not just shaping the environment, we're shaping how they see themselves as learners.
Exactly. And that brings us to our thought-provoking question for you, dear listener.
Ooh, I like it.
Think back to a time when you felt really engaged in a learning environment.
Okay.
What was it about that space, that experience, that made it so impactful for you?
That's a great question for everyone to think about.
Yeah, was it the physical space itself?
Yeah.
The people? The teaching style?
Or maybe, like, all of those things combined in some magical way.
Exactly, and that's what's so fascinating about this field.
Right. It's complex.
There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right, which I think is what makes it so interesting.
Exactly. So, yeah, keep that question in mind as you go about your day-to-day.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Definitely reach out, keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
We'll see you in the next one.